Check 1 2 1 2 1 2. I hope everybody is having a decent end to your week and begin your relaxed days. Um, I just want to say thanks again for all the support everybody's bringing, and want to say sorry about the time schedules and the delays and things like that. They're not intentional, but I kind of take my days day to day. And so, although I have plans, which I got a lot of plans all the time, daily, different activities and stuff, um, I got to prioritize my own, health and yeah, and my own life, over this internet. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the internet and I love sharing information and I love the folks that come through and make the dialogue interesting, right? The debate. Um, but I wanted to start off with a couple of few messages to people that have been on this platform before, and it's been obviously a lot of African Americans, not only African Americans, but majority African Americans, and then sporadic others, right? Um, I want to say I appreciate your support, regardless of the election turnout. Even the people that supported MAGA, some of the black people. Now, I don't know if that's real because some folk be on the internet joking around, right? So people like to troll and do things like that, but that's okay. I don't really care about that because I know some of the subject matters that I'm covering and some of the dialogue on it. It can't be found in other places. Now, some of it can be, but there's some things you're just not going to get, and that's based on the perspective and where I am and my own information pool that I draw from. So I just wanted to say I don't really take it personal, although I think at this point people should have learned something different than what they believed a year ago. Now, for those of you that um, supported Trump, obviously we can see there's loads of people that are not supporting Trump anymore. People are shocked. So I want to say to people that um, did support Trump or may have the reasons for it, um, I've always seen you all as victims of disinformation. So I don't take it any other way because disinformation is a serious, rough thing. That's something that can encapsulate groups of people and be so slick and so sly that it could have you walking off a cliff. And it does all the time, all the time. Disinformation is what happens before something else happens. It's laying the psychological foreground, the psychological foundation for what can happen next. So the disinformation has been heavy, and we could just say it. If you can't, if you believe something and you can't really prove it, but you believe it, just let it be a belief, but don't try to make it a fact. Don't operate as if it's a fact because you believe it. That's just dumb. You wouldn't open up the Bible and read something and believe it, or the Quran or the Torah and find something in there and state that you, although you believe in these things, you would not go out and test them in the real world because they wouldn't work, all those things, right? Well, disinformation is the same way, practice what you preach, do what you say. Now, if Trump has been good, there was a lot of African Americans that came on my platform, and some of them are good people too. Don't get me wrong; people have political disagreements, but many of them thought Trump was going to be good for their pockets. Um, and what I'm asking right now is, how is it turning out? Did you get what you wanted out of Trump? Are you satisfied with Trump's first month? Does it give you an indication of the direction things are going? If they're going in the direction you approve of or you think is right, I want to know your thoughts on that. I don't run from debate. I don't run from dialogue, and I don't make excuses about any debate or any opinion that I have. And if I just happen to be wrong, I just admit it like a good man and move to the next step. Admitting when you're wrong helps communities. It helps communities bond and come together. If you are so opinionated that you never can be wrong about stuff, I could be wrong about all kinds of stuff. It doesn't mean my entire premise is wrong, but I can be corrected here and there along the way. And, of course, my premise has always been disinformation, Russian attack, you overthrow pretty much. I mean, I'm saying these things before other platforms are even saying it. I've said this is an overthrow of the government, and I'm not playing. A lot of people think that somehow, um, I guess what it is I don't have a PhD. I'm not rich. Mm, I am not the leader of a political party. Um, you know I'm just a regular guy that's doing okay, happy with my life. And I think a lot of times when you're just a regular Joe, happy with your life, doing things, being very different also from some of your peers, a lot of times people take that as you might not be the brightest person in the room. You may not be the best listener in the room, but I'm a very good listener. And I listen far greater and I think far greater than I speak. So I'm usually ahead of the trends, to be honest with you, and that's really what I'm kind of known for: being ahead of the trends, seeing the blank spaces, seeing the gray areas in detail. So to me, they're not gray, where whereas though to a lot of people they are gray. But in any case, move on. I want to also thank the individuals, the everyday Americans, black, white, Asian, whatever, Hispanic, Jamaican, whatever your background is. I don't even care, who are hitting the streets for democracy to save their country because talk is cheap. And I'm going to tell you, if I was there with you, I would be there with you every single day. But 2 seconds, let me just 2 seconds. I got to check something out here. Hold on. Sorry. See, Walmart is not doing well. And this is because people are withholding their money. So, because they don't like the dropping of DEI. So that's where we're going to start. But first, I want to go over to, my goodness, some protest here. Let's see.
Protests against the policies of U.S. President Donald Trump have begun in several U.S. states. The protesters said they were fed up with statements from President Donald Trump and Elon Musk. The participants spoke out against the strengthening of immigration policies and the reduction of federal spending. The march was accompanied by chants of "No Kings on President's Day" and "Elon Musk must go." The largest protests took place in Boston, Florida, and California. Thousands took to the streets. Despite this, the events are peaceful, people are singing, carrying posters. Frost and snow did not stop the outraged citizens. However, in the state of Arizona they were unable to get into the government building. Some slogans: "This is a coup," "Cowards bow to Trump," "Patriots, stand up," "Immigrants make America great again." One of the posters depicted Uncle Sam saying, "I want you to fight back." Ironically, there were counter-demonstrations in support of Trump in West Palm Beach. Supporters of the president gathered outside the Trump International Golf Club. Earlier media wrote that Trump's rating is declining. And if by some indicators he has lost only a few percent, then by others, 10%. In Phoenix, Capitol security blocked protesters after several people tried to break in. Activist Deember Archer, one of the protest organizers, called on demonstrators to remain peaceful. "We are here to make a statement, not to be a statement," she told reporters. At the same time, the Arizona Senate has backed a controversial bill that would tighten controls on immigration. Senate Leader Warren Peterson said, "After 4 years of chaos at the border, all levels of government must help Trump restore order." Experts note that mass protests could be the beginning of a new political crisis.
Now, there's a lot of there's a lot of people concerned about a lot of different things. Immigration is not the premier issue for most Americans. However, there's a lot of Americans that it should affect all Americans. Immigration, people should want comprehensive immigration, but again, you can't have Trump cannot rise to the point where he's able to do all of these things if he did agree with comprehensive immigration reform. Comprehensive immigration reform should be what any people would want. But Trump doesn't want that. Trump wants the site of hate, the site of oppression to be the story. And he wants to validate oppression, poor treatment of people. That's what it's about. So if you have comprehensive immigration reform, you can't have these ugly scenes where show people being humiliated, people being objectified, people basically being treated horribly when there's a much better way to approach it. So we could see they didn't need that. You can't get billionaires in power if you have solutions, because they want the solutions to always fit them. So a lot of these billionaires, not all of them obviously, and not all of anybody, but to say that, just period, not all of anybody, but a lot of these billionaires, they don't want solutions for simple problems, because that doesn't allow them to control the political sphere. It doesn't guarantee them power. And billionaires want power. Now, to the white MAGA supporters, yo, you all are largely in line for bad treatment, because while you've only focused on immigration, all the other benefits that you get that you didn't even respect, that you wanted to objectify and call it Obamacare, or all these intricate things, very, very intricate, that are incorporated, throughout the country, that you find that you think are normal. No, those are Democrat programs that were there to support even Republicans, poor white people. That's really what they were. And a lot of these people, most of them, are going to be hit heavily, more than they've ever imagined. Now, Trump has this idea that he's going to put out checks. Now he's going to increase the checks. It's a rumor. Now they plan on increasing the checks because they want to buy your freedom. They want to say, here, it's like being an indentured servant. Here's a little bit of payment, and now I own you. I'm going to take away all your rights. So while you get this little $5,000 tax credit from Trump, he's going to do it at the expense of 30,000 a home, 40,000 a family. You see, he's going to cut so many services just because you took the 5,000 or whatever the little handout was. He's going to find ways to cut into your financial situation way beyond $5,000. It's going to be way, and you will be paying the price for it, because there will be more crime in the streets. There will be more homelessness in the streets. You see, there will be more people suffering right in your face. So, what he's doing is he's bringing the middle class and the poor closer together, very close together, while the rich are widening their gap. So, let me just go back. So I want to thank people that are speaking up, and it doesn't matter if it's about immigration or if it's just about, I mean, to be honest with you, it should be about democracy. As you can see here, protests against Trump, his policy imploded. This is a coup. Yeah, it sounds like a coup to me. That's what I've been basically calling it. I mean, I've been calling it that for a minute. Takeover, foreign government takeover. And it is foreign, because think about it. Elon Musk is not beholden to the United States of America. He's not. Most of Trump's the people that work with Trump, They're not beholden to the United States of America. They have multiple passports. Elon Musk has multiple nationalities. He can flee the United States. He can flee. Now, you might look for him, but a lot of people will protect him because he just has money. You see? And that's what Elon Musk is setting up. He's planning his escape route already. Of course, he's not going to tell you because he's a shrewd business person. He doesn't care about your rights, he doesn't care about democracy. He is the richest man in the world, and the richest man of the world has no need for democracy. See, democracy in the Constitution, if you read it, it's there to protect the average citizen from people like Elon Musk. And he is removing it, and MAGA people voted for him to remove it. So I don't really understand that one, but I'll thank some of you MAGA people for coming and seeing the light now and seeing how Trump is yeah, this is ridiculous. But in any case, let me go into one other thing. Let me see here. I think it was called Associated Press. Associated Press. Um, and what is it called? Dearborn, Michigan. Look, here is something that has come up. Trump, see, Trump pulls off a rare Republican win in the largest Arab majority Senate in the U.S. Right, and here's the thing. There's a lot of Americans who I've heard some of the talking points many times. I've heard the talking points. Let me try to find the exact video though. And there's people that have been saying genocide Joe, genocide Harris, and these kind of things. It's some, right? Because of the situation regarding Palestinians and Israelis, right? There's been people saying this, taught me using that language. Well, the thing about it is that a lot of the things when I listen to like Black Americans that are saying that, it's okay, it's fine because the situation is horrible. Although it may not rise, if you don't read the laws about genocide, really, I mean, in depthly, you may not understand how it's not necessarily genocide either. But if you add one or two more elements to it, it's definitely genocide. That I will give people. I don't have an issue with that, and I don't have an issue with the two-state solution, although that's part of Biden's plan, right? Harris's plan, and others. That's not part of Trump's plan. There's no two-state solution for Trump, and Trump could give a damn about a two-state solution, and that's very problematic. But in any case, let me see here. What was it? Oh, it's CBS News. I'm sorry. It's CBS News. Let me go here. CBS News. They did this was recently. CBS News. Now, where do I find the actual link here? You know what? Hold on. Let me just do something. I know what I have to do. I'm gonna play the video and then I will be able to see it uh in my history. Yeah, go ahead. Leaving it out. Play it here. Sorry about this again, folks. Okay. So in the beginning of the video, it says Harris is going to lose because of us. So the goal was that Harris lose. You understand? Here it is. The goal was that Harris lose, and
Lose because
did
of
it
us.
by supporting Trump. They did it by supporting Trump. Now, my question is to the Black activists in the United States, the minority, the extreme minority that, how can I say this, only see the Palestinian issue as the main issue. Um, that that see that if this issue doesn't get resolved, nothing else matters. To the activists, the Black American activists, the minority, like Uhuru movement, and there's others. There's many actually, but they're still an extreme minority, right? But they take up a big presence on the internet. Um, these people didn't think about you. They're not thinking even about their own families. They're thinking about Gaza, but they haven't been in the United States long enough to understand the loads of problems people face every single day that the Republican Party doesn't care anything about. Like, for example, Republican Party doesn't care about Islamophobia. Why would you vote for Trump when he's an Islamophobe? Why would you do that? Republican Party doesn't care if someone marches through your town and burns down your restaurant that you own. Why would you support that? See, there's so many other reasons to not support Trump, and there's so many other reasons to support Kamala Harris. To use the issue in Palestine like that somehow is going to work, it doesn't work in the United States of America. And you really have to be American to kind of understand that, right? Kamala Harris was the best option for the moment because Kamala Harris actually really did care about the suffering of Palestinian people, but not only Palestinian people, many groups of people. So let's listen.
Inshallah, Harris is going to lose because of us.
This was Dearborn, Michigan, just weeks before the presidential election. Arab American voters were intent on punishing the Biden administration over the war in Gaza.
There needs to be an accountability for the lives lost.
They wanted one thing
Look.
from their vote.
Who's going to
And folks are there
stop
today.
the bombing of my people?
People
A
are
ceasefire came into effect as President
Hold on. People are there. People are still doing this right now. They're not talking about Trump. A lot of these activists, they're still talking about Biden and Harris. Although Biden served 4 terms as the president, Kamala Harris served no term as a president, and they're still talking about Kamala Harris and Biden. And this man has served two terms. Now, who do you think has more effect? The billionaires and this guy, or Biden and Harris? Who do you think? Who do you think? You can't fight everybody at one time. That's the problem with this logic. You have to choose your fights wisely so you can get to cover other fights too as well. But if you don't choose the ones that you can win right now, you will never get to any other place. So check this out.
Trump took office were intent on punishing the Biden administration over the war in Gaza.
There needs to be an accountability for the lives lost.
They wanted one thing from their vote.
Who's going to stop the bombing of my people?
A ceasefire came into effect as President Trump took office. And then
It's right now a demolition site.
he dropped his plans for the future of Gaza.
The U.S.
That's what Trump did to these people, that the Arabs and the Muslims and whoever else who cared about Gaza. Every Democrat knows Trump doesn't give a fuck about Gaza. Come on. We've been saying this the whole time, right? It doesn't mean that we don't give a fuck about Gaza. It doesn't mean we don't give a fuck about Israeli either, or Palestinians. No, we actually care about both. You know, to be honest with you, Americans care about both. But when it comes to politics, Israel has had the upper hand, not just because of the lobby, AIPAC. It's not the lobby. It's the fact of who supports Hamas, who supports Hezbollah, who, right, supports Iran also, and the beliefs of Iran and the beliefs of these groups. Saying death to Israel is not a good campaign speech. It's not a good speech to get Americans involved, period. And if you don't denounce speech like that and violence, right, the fact that they, are armed, right, then it's hard to deal with Israel. It is hard to restrain Israel. And that's been the problem. Now, there's a lot of people that believe they're very myopic. They believe that Putin, who supports Iran with weapons, Iran supports Putin with weapons, China that supports Iran with weapons, right? And they all support Hamas directly or indirectly, and Hezbollah attacking Israel. They also do that with Ukraine. Now, if you think that there's some sort of way out of this without discussing that fact, you're out of your mind. That's been the problem. People need to denounce violence to solve this problem. This problem cannot be helped with violence, period. No peace for Palestinians or Israelis with violence. But if you're not willing to talk about the violence on both sides, you cannot be part of an agreement, any real lasting peace. The people need to have that conversation. You can't just overlook it and pretend that there's not two sides committing violent acts. I'm not doing the blame game. I know plenty of Palestinians in real life. But let's be honest, you know, there's a geopolitical aspect to this which is playing out, and it's not just Westerners. It's a failed Eastern approach to these dynamics as well. So let's just listen to what they say. Hey, Andrea, this is the video, right? This is they helped Trump win to get a ceasefire in Gaza. The ceasefire in Gaza was gained by the Biden administration. And these people voted for Trump, and Trump doesn't give a damn about no ceasefire. He doesn't give a damn about the hostages. He wants to kill more Palestinians, and he always did. The man is a fascist. By the way, he wants to kill Jews too. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why Netanyahu would sit here and allow this man to rant. It's because of one thing. Netanyahu is out to get weapons from the United States of America. And if he can't get weapons from the United States of America, he has no choice but to get them from somewhere else. It's that simple. And it may not be that easy. So we have to take that into account. I'm not a supporter of Netanyahu. I think he's too extreme to solve issues for the children of Israel or the children of Palestine. You know, these type of groups, they're not bringing peace. They're bringing harm to each other and themselves. You know, and that type of cycle people got to get out of. But let's continue, because these people, this is what they said. And again, I want the black folk that talk about Gaza, that are out there, or any folk that talk about Gaza, just pay attention to this. Don't run away from this dynamic. You were wrong in your support in what you stated. You thought Trump would create a better situation. You're out of your minds. You missed some dynamics in the politics. That's what needs to be confronted. But check it out. Voices.
This was Dearborn, Michigan, just weeks before the presidential election. Arab American voters were intent on punishing the Biden administration.
And this is a pretty affluential society. This is a pretty affluential town here, Dearborn, Michigan.
Over
Look,
the war in Gaza.
it's a lot of freedom going on here, right? Is there a lot of freedom? I see coffee cup in the hand here. There's a lot of Middle Easterners here. There's a lot of Arabs here, if you want to call them that, right? There's freedom going on. But the problem is that, do they see any other problem in the United States of America? There's thousands of serious problems across the country that even affect these people. Were they aware of it? Did they take that into account? I don't think they took it into account. And I'm going to be honest. If they didn't take it into account, that's a losing recipe. Because now you have a fascist who's president that hates Muslims. Now, why would you support a person that openly hates Muslims and tells you that? That makes zero sense.
There needs to be an accountability for the lives lost.
They wanted one thing from their vote.
Who's going to stop the bombing of my people?
A ceasefire came into effect as President Trump took office. And then
It's right now a demolition site.
he dropped his plans for the future of Gaza.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too.
We're back in Dearborn, We were here last year for about a week talking to voters just before the election. This place holds the distinction of being the first Arab majority city in the U.S. Huge population here. And Trump really made a big play for that community, and it worked. He won here over Kamala Harris by more than 42% of the vote. We wanted to come back to talk to the same people that we interviewed to find out what they think of Trump now. Were you hurt by it? Did you take it personally?
100%, of course. Of course, yeah. I don't accept that. And I'm going to fight that.
This is where you have to understand pain and anger and frustration are not a tactic. It means it doesn't have anything to do with you having a tactical understanding of how to solve this problem. But go ahead.
That if that's the plan.
Samra Lukman voted for Trump, convinced he was the best option to stop the death and destruction in Gaza.
Even if theoretically Trump was to incentivize Palestinians to leave Gaza,
Hey, Pumpkin.
he did not say he would do it with violence. He did not say he was going
This is the most naive lady. This lady, I feel sorry for her, because had she been willing to listen to other people that share concerns about the Palestinian situation, she would understand then how foolish her statement is. It is a foolish, foolish statement. But here, let's listen to this again.
Destruction in Gaza.
Even if theoretically Trump was to incentivize Palestinians to leave Gaza, he did not say he would do it with violence. He did not say he was going to kill every child that remained on that land, which is what the Democrats were allowing to happen.
The Democrats weren't allowing it to happen. The Democrats were speaking about it. The Democrats didn't allow Hamas to attack Israel. That's out of their hands. Now, listen, for those people that believe that Israel controls the world and Jews control the world and Jews control Israel controls the United States of America, you have to understand something. That's anti-Semitic logic. That's not true. The United States of America doesn't give a damn. The United States of America's first job is to protect itself in its sphere of influence. And people get hurt in that. Has the politic worked out for Israelis? I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't want to live in Israel. You know, I wouldn't trade it. I would not trade where I live to live in Israel, let alone Palestine. But the thing is that it's a naive statement. She obviously doesn't understand what takes place outside of the camera and outside of the public sphere. The United States supports Saudi Arabia. The United States supports Egypt militarily. The United States supports a lot of nations that don't necessarily do what they want them to do all the damn time. And Israel is one of them. And they do it for their own interest. It has nothing to do with you. Zero to do with the betterment. They're working on trade. They're working on security. That's what they're working on. And to think that they just tell you what they think, to think that that's happening all the time, that's not happening all the time. And to think that they're going to tell you what they have in play and what they're trying to do openly, that's not going to happen all the time. It's not so transparent. And a lot of Americans know that, but some people get frustrated because they think that they listen to the disinformation and then they say, see, they keep doing it. They expect that one side is the one that doesn't speak publicly about their intentions. No, Putin doesn't speak publicly about why he funds Iran. He doesn't speak too much publicly about why he supports Hamas to attack Israel. He doesn't speak too much publicly about it. So there's a challenge there to try to figure out and try what's going on. But the issue is geopolitical. It has almost nothing to do with Israel or Palestinians, Muslims or Jews. It's about trade.
I think
But now she's nervous after Trump says he might cancel the ceasefire if Israeli hostages don't come home.
All bets are off and let hell break out.
we didn't stop a genocide only to have it continue under a different administration. That's not.
Look, she said we didn't stop genocide only to have it happen under another administration. How did you stop genocide? You see, again, how does she stop genocide to only have it continue under another administration? How did the US stop genocide to only have it continue under another administration? Actually, to be honest, whether it was genocide, that's a technical thing at this point. It's, intent is part of it. Intent is part of it. And as long as Israel keeps saying they're doing it to defend themselves, and as long as Hamas keeps showing that, hey, we're going to shoot a rocket over there, they can keep making that claim. That's the problem. Folks have been saying, stop using that approach so we can deal with Israel. And the other side keeps saying, no, we're going to launch some more weapons to interfere with you stopping Israel. It may not happen fast because there's a lot of players involved, but that's really what's been going on. The US they have two interests. They could have peace and have trade, which they've been working on, or they can have chaos and violence and war. So people really got to decide which one they want for that region of the world. But keep in mind, Americans are first responsible for the United States of America and the lifestyle of Americans. That's the first responsibility. So why did you not look there to take some clues? Why would you have it in your mind at all that Trump cares about Palestinians? What should be in your mind is that Trump wants Palestinians dead because he's a fascist. And he's not going to say it because it would interfere with him killing you, lady. Don't be so naive.
What the goal was.
Home.
All bets are off and let hell break out.
We didn't stop a genocide only to have it continue under a different administration. That's not what the goal was.
A new dilemma for this Dearborn community, rocked so deeply by the war. At this local restaurant, owner Sam Hammoud, who voted for a third-party candidate, is hearing a lot of blame.
They held Dearborn Heights responsible for what Trump is doing.
What's your answer to those people who say, look what you did?
Where was your voice when all this was going on? How come you guys didn't come out, say, hey, what's going on in the Middle East?
Hey, you see, this is another naive. It's incorrect. It's total incorrect. How come you guys, they're talking about Democrats. How come you guys, Democrats been supporting the Palestinian issue and speaking about it for our entire lifetimes. Fellow brother Arab man, Muslim man, or whoever, human being. I'm not Muslim or Arab, but fellow human being. You missed it. You missed it. Maybe you're too involved in your business to see it, to care. But again, that was a major failure, just a major failure in information, acknowledging facts and seeking information.
Needs to stop.
Our vote was to end the killing of hundreds, possibly thousands of people per day. And we achieved that. We have a ceasefire under Trump. And I don't regret that.
They don't have a cease. This is a total ridiculousness. It's Biden that arranged the ceasefire. It's not Trump that arranged it. This is what I'm talking about. You can believe what you want, but sticking to the facts actually matters. Trump is not engaged in a peace plan. Hamas said they're sticking with the original peace plan proposed by Biden. They're following it. They're not releasing one hostage any day earlier than that previous peace plan has in it, which was arranged by Biden. And this is what we're talking about here. This is stubbornness. This is, how can I say, a type of activism where you think outrage beats facts, and it doesn't, because everyone in America is outraged about something that is personal to them. You have to understand that. But if a Black American would take the issue of genocide against Black Americans and say, hey, we not voting, or hey, if the Democrats don't get this thing solved quick and fast, we're gonna vote for someone even worse. If we said that, we would be just as dumb as you. We're not, lady. Number one, because we know we're not the only people suffering. We know that we're not the only people that's been through something. You see the difference? They don't see the other Americans that come from places in the world that suffer, or that suffer in the United States. That, I'm sorry, but this is just the same problem that many other types of immigrants in the United States can have when when they become, when they live in their own bubble. I'm sorry to say that, but I'm not saying I'm against them people having communities or building communities. I'm not against that. If you're not fair to my people, I'm against that, and I won't support you. But I'm not opposed to people building communities. That's what people do, including my people. But the politics being showed here is incredibly naive.
Achieved that. We have
Needs to stop.
our vote was to end the killing of hundreds, possibly thousands of people per day. And we achieved that. We have a ceasefire under Trump. And I don't regret that.
Hello, assalamu alaikum. You guys are registered voters? Do go vote.
When we first met local activist Farah Khan, she was campaigning against Kamala Harris and voted for Jill Stein.
Nice to see you again. Good to
She voted for Jill Stein. You see? Now, to be honest with you, Jill Stein, she is shady as hell. But the thing about it is that the main point here is that for them, it's anybody but Kamala Harris. Yo, Kamala Harris was actually the person that could bring Israel and Palestine closer together. You just didn't see it because of who she is. That's what's going on here. If you ask me, there's a lot of people that make excuses for voting for a woman. I'm just going to say it flat out, and I don't give any I don't leave that past anybody. You see what I mean? Misogyny in all types of the world, it exists, to be honest with you. It exists in the United States. It exists in Denmark. It exists in the Arab world. It exists in Russia. It exists in China. It exists in Africa. Maybe to different degrees, the Middle East, whatever, Asia, right? But it exists. You see, and the common denominator here is that she is supporting people right now. Jill Stein supported Putin. She does. She's not going to say it out to the public, but she does. She would give an ear to a dictator. She went to Putin seeking help, and Putin helped her. And now that may not be able to be proven conclusively through a criminal case, but don't be stupid, y'all. Don't be stupid. That's how politics work. You don't go to Russia to sit at a dinner with Putin and not want something from him. That makes zero sense. You could have stayed your ass in your own bed, but you didn't, Jill Stein. You see what I'm saying? This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And it's got to be worked on. I'm not saying we shouldn't reach out to these people and try to get them to understand that their view of how politics work is very naive in the United States. We should reach out to them. But first, we got to save the country and everybody in it from falling. See, the Gaza thing is now off the table more than it's ever been for people ever in the United States of America. And do you know why that is? Because folks got serious problems at home now. The billionaires class that you voted for, they don't want to abandon Israel. And a lot of people are not going to abandon things for a lot of different reasons, but primarily because the conflict and war in the Middle East is due to Western powers and Eastern powers supplying weapons to people that are fighting each other, that see each other as their own enemies first. And anytime you have a dynamic like that, I'm sorry, you might want to think about what people are saying when they're talking about democracy. You might want to think about what people are talking about when they're saying war can't resolve issues. You might want to think about it instead of just ignoring the fact that there's more players supplying weapons. There's more players like Putin. Putin doesn't give a damn if every Muslim dies or every Arab dies. Putin was at war with Muslims himself. That's why they had the wars in Eastern Europe. Seriously. So these people, I don't understand why they don't get that, but
Now she's planning her next move.
We are going to get together and organize
what's
against
the word for
Trump
today?
as well, as just as powerful as we did for the Biden-Harris administration.
Do you regret campaigning for a third party?
Against
Her next move.
we are going to get together and organize against Trump as well, as just as powerful as we did for the Biden-Harris administration.
Do you regret campaigning for a third party candidate that likely helped with Trump's victory?
No, not one bit. What actually just happened in the past elections, it should be a learning curve for the politicians as well. You know, they should know that you can no longer fool the people by with your empty rhetoric, with your false promises.
You see, empty rhetoric, false promises. That's all she sees. She said it herself. It's not me saying it. I would never say that Muslims, you know, are just full of empty rhetoric and false promises. I would never say that. I don't see people through such a myopic lens. You see what I mean? I see people as possessing good and bad, having the potential to possess both, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what your background, no matter what your gender, no matter what your sexual orientation, no matter what your religion. That's how I see people in a realistic way. Um, if she thinks that there's any political parties on earth that are simply going out there telegraphing everything they think and everything they're going to do and every view they have, you're a very, very foolish person. What you need to do is focus on what are these parties doing and what are they not doing, and compile an entire list. And if you see 80% of what a party is doing is being good, right? And the other party is only known to be doing about 20% good, you might want to go with the 80% and wait 1 or 2 years and keep on encouraging, keep on discussing, keep on. You cannot expect that a single issue candidate, that it just doesn't exist. It's never going to exist because there's too many problems. And although her community is not experiencing a lot of those problems because her community has had the freedom to build itself up through hard work, do you know what it's like to be attacked? Because that's what Trump wants to do. Trump wants to get a mob to attack you because you're Muslim. So I don't understand any of this. You're not going to teach Democrats a lesson when they know the opposing party wants to kill you. That just makes no sense at all.
Over and over again, the voters we talked to told us it was never about Trump.
We are not married to the Republican Party. We're not married to the Democratic Party. As a voting bloc, American Muslims and Arabs are going to be voting with Gaza in mind.
We are not going.
See, so Gaza in mind means we don't want to hear you humanize us. We don't want to hear you talk about our pain and suffering from the podium. They don't want that because they don't see that as being a necessary politic in the United States. They don't see that you need to humanize what's going on so that you can take action. People's experience need to be humanized so that political action can happen. It doesn't just happen like that. It doesn't, to be honest. And as sad as it is, it's not the only example of that across the world. Ukraine is going to go on for some time. There's going to be issues in Eastern Europe for some time, period. If it's not Ukraine, it's going to be someone else. There's going to be wars and death and dying in Africa. As it is right now, it will continue. You have to understand that. It's going to continue because it's about Putin, it's about China, it's about the EU, and it's about the United States trying to keep an advantage. That's what it's about. And sadly enough, when you don't make weapons, when you lack infrastructure, you are not in the lead in this world. So it's really sad, but that is the way it is. That's why you don't want to be in fights with your neighbors, because it leads to nowhere. It only feeds the rich. It does not feed the poor. Weapons. Poor people cannot eat weapons. They can't eat bullets. So, yeah, folks may want to think about that. I mean,
Going anywhere, we are here.
But I give the US a little bit of credit. It's an immigrant nation, a lot of immigrants, and that's okay, but it doesn't replace the fact that you can't ignore what people who have deep roots in the country feel. It's just not realistic. And if that's the tactic, if the tactic is I'm going to ignore the majority's deep rooted feelings, that's not a good way to play politics. I'm not saying you have to agree with them. By all means, disagree, but that's just not a winning recipe. That's all. It's not a winning recipe. But let's hear what Steve Bannon has to say now. Because after all, Steve Bannon is here because people like them purposely purposely wanted to teach Kamala Harris a lesson. Now, and Joe Biden a lesson. Now they have taught Kamala Harris and Joe Biden a lesson. They have taught Democrats a lesson. Now let's listen to Steve Bannon, because he's going to be here teaching you a lesson for the next 4 years. So let's listen.
700, $800 billion.
And he's not even an elected official like Kamala Harris, but Trump has a way of, he's got a lot of support for people that don't like you.
The 700, $800 billion. In 1 month, they've done that. And President Trump comes that day. He's so excited. He says, hey, I think we can balance the budget. Right? President Trump, hang on for a second. Let's just get it down under $1 trillion. We'll start there.
Mm-hmm.
Zelensky's been put in his place. Right? Right? And the J6ers.
He's like Zelensky. Listen, y'all. He's saying Zelensky's been put in his place. Think about this. He's talking about a nation that didn't even have a standing army 10 years ago. Really? Not really. He's talking about a nation that is just getting on its feet. A democratic nation. And this dude he's from the most powerful country to ever exist on earth. And he's talking about Zelensky learned his lesson. What a bully. This is no different. So we have the bully tactic about Gaza and Palestinians from Trump, which I'm sure maybe Palestinian Americans like it, maybe they don't. They seem to be okay with the bullying tactic with the Ukraine. I mean, how is it turning out? Did you see Biden stop Russia from bombing Ukraine? Did you want Harris to tell Putin to stop bombing Ukraine? I'm asking Palestinian Americans. Did you want that? Because he didn't do that. He didn't do it. Nobody did that. Nobody stopped Russia from bombing Ukraine. Ukrainians stopped it. They were given weapons. They were given logistical support. But if they didn't have certain things intact, they wouldn't get that support. And they would probably be Russian right now. Probably. You know? I mean, yeah, in any case.
Are here at CPAC. Zelensky's been put in his place, right? Right? And the J6ers are here at CPAC.
Basically, they're taking a early victory lap. And we know what happens with people that take early victory laps. They end up getting cake in their face, pie in their face.
All of them. From the medium-high security prisons to the U.S. penitentiaries, to the men that got diesel therapy, all of them are here. Right? They don't like that up there. You don't like the J6s being here. The J6s are here. Hey, and let me tell you something else. I talked to Ambassador Rick Grinnell last night, and the J6ers, I think, the J6 choir is going to play the Kennedy Center for a night in honor of their families. In fact, I got an idea. The night that they play, the J6 choir.
Now, these guys, they take exception to the fact that Q-Tip, a person of African descent, African American, Caribbean American heritage, that he became the director of the Smithsonian Arts Department, Performing Arts Department. And so a lot of things that didn't happen historically in that place actually happened for once. And for people like Steve Bannon and Trump, to them, that's a total insult because African Americans culture, which is unique, right? It's a culture that involves the blues because of the history of subjugation and oppression and violence. The creative arts has always been a space where African Americans found opportunity because at least they got to get their emotions out, right? At least they got to affirm their emotions with each other. And being at the Smithsonian Institute is a way to become American. It's a way to be acknowledged by America. And these guys, they hated it. They hated that. And so, they're actually just going there and saying, hey, if we just take it out and throw in Jan 6, they're not even look, they're talking about people. They're celebrating removing people that had deep insights into their stories. They're removing that just to replace it with what? Jan 6. They're going to have the Jan 6 choir perform. That's their replacement. Nothing in depth about it. It's just, half-ass attempts, to just say, ha, now we got control of it too. We took you out. We took something from you. And now we're going to put something pretty much meaningless in its place,
Our plays and opens the new with Rick Grinnell and President Trump as chairman. We have
what they're doing is they're leading the United States into a civil war, and they're harnessing it. Steve Bannon was just talking shit about Elon Musk a week ago, right? And now look, he's quiet on Elon Musk. Well, I wonder why. Why? You see, these guys want money, and they also want a civil war. That's what they want in the United States of America. For people that didn't know, although they've been saying it, and if you've been listening, you would hear it, but a lot of people don't listen. A lot of people close their ears when they come to that part because they want to imagine that this is about something different than a civil war in the United States of America, where they will bring back slavery and oppression to blacks and others, where they will kill handicapped people, where they will remove the United States Constitution, which is where your actual rights lie. It may not be a problem for Palestinian Americans. It may not be a problem for different Americans. It may not be a problem at all. It's up to you to decide. What do you think? But I tell you one thing for sure. Why would you pay taxes to something like this? I mean, my taxes, I have to file my taxes, and I do file my taxes. I have to even file them. I have to turn over my taxes, Danish taxes, to the US government so they can see how much I pay in tax. But I'm so happy, which means I don't owe money to the US government, although I'm an American citizen, right? Because I'm already paying taxes where I am. So I can't be doubled up on taxes unless I make $1 billion, right? Like them. Then they would complain and about it, that 1% more you have to pay. They would complain about that shit. But in any case, why? And I'm just curious, what is it that people are waiting for? Like, I'm not saying everybody's waiting, because people are out on the street demonstrating. The Democrats are in the courts fighting for people's rights and winning cases, slowing down the momentum. Steve Bannon is back to try to pretend like those fights don't exist. He has to show a win to get this thing along, to keep it going. But he knows damn well they're not looking too good in the courts. Their goal is to destroy the Constitution. It hasn't happened yet.
The J6 choir, right? And we invite all the families they try to destroy, the J6ers, and they get to sit in the boxes where the elite sit, right? And we take the elite for just one night, and we take them down to the DC gulag, right? For one night.
What is he talking about? The DC gulag? Look at this. See, this is where they're fooling their own constituency. They're trying to give them feel-good things. Steve Bannon hasn't said anything about what he's going to do for the poor MAGA folks. He hasn't.
Take the elite for just one night, and we take them down to the DC gulag, right? For one night.
And listen to what he's saying. Gulag. These guys are caught up in basically Soviet expressions, Cold War, World War II expressions. These kind of logic. If it's not World War II, it's the Cold War expressions that they use. And I'm sorry, Russia's not the same as it was 50 years ago. China's not the same way it was 50 years ago. Africa's not the same way it was 50 years ago. America, North, South, Central, is not the same way it was 50 years ago. People have changed. The only people that haven't changed are the people that's still using these types of logics. They're living in the past. They're living in the past. White supremacy is a thing of the past. You're not in danger because of that. White people aren't in danger because white supremacy, apartheid controlled by white people is a thing of the past. They're not in danger because of that. And this has been something that they've been trying to sell to people. Look, Mother Nature is the one that is in charge. It makes people that it needs to exist. If you exist today, that's because Mother Nature found a need for your type to exist. You serve a purpose. The part about color, how light you are and how dark you are, that's Mother Nature. If you live in the Nordic part of the world and you stay in the Nordic part of the world some generations, you're going to be pretty damn white looking, even if you started off looking black. If you're white and you stayed near the equator for generations and generations, y'all, it is the food, the type of sun, the type of vitamins, it's going to change your body. Just like if you eat unhealthy, you're going to look unhealthy. You're going to have unhealthy effects. It's the same thing. Your body changes by your environment. Now, a lot of people wanted to fight that and make it seem like, no, we're different species. We're different. Yo, just drop it all. That stuff has been proven to be wrong. It's not right. And this is a perfect example of a guy that shares those ideologies. He's sitting there thinking that for it to be right, it has to be white. He's a bigot. He's a bigot, man. Just let it go. And then look at half of these people that join them. They're married to people that ain't even white. Look at half of the people that join them. Then a lot of them only first and second generation Americans. Like, seriously. How can you have this ideology and then you're coupled up with a first and second generation American? Sean Hannity, second generation American, extremist, extremely racialized and bigoted dialogue coming out of Sean Hannity, white supremacist dialogue. His family got nothing to do with the foundings of America. Nothing to do with it. Trump, look at him. He's talking about 1776. His family wasn't even in the country in 1776. He has zero relationship with the War of Independence or the Civil War. Zero. Nothing to do with it. The man ran from Germany later in modern times. He's a fascist. He ran from Germany in modern times around World War I or World War II. It's somewhere around there. Probably World War I. I'm sorry. World War I. Around there or right before it. It's not that long ago, really. Not that many generations ago. Think about that. When did Trump's family really come to the United States of America? I mean, I'm not saying Steve Bannon's doesn't. I'm not sure, but I mean, a lot of these, Cash Patel, first generation, at best, second generation American. A lot of these folks have some ideologies that are not based in real American history, factual American culture. United States of American culture is not an isolated one. A lot of it culturally is shared with Canada, Central America, and South America, y'all. Facts. Straight up. That's just what it is. People may not want it to be that way, but it's in America. It's very unique. America's very unique because of its actual history. And a lot of these people only quote it to use people,
Think they can handle that? I don't think so either.
Hold on. Wait a second. What did he say?
One night.
Oh, he's talking about the gulag. Can we handle it? Yo, let me tell you something, motherfucker. We can handle it. Bring it on, Steve Bannon. I mean, if you want to threaten and kill other Americans, you deserve a reaction from those Americans that you want to stand up and talk about. You deserve a reaction, and it's coming, but it's not going to come the way you dictate. You can talk all the shit you want. Stop talking shit. Win something. Do something. When are the raids? When is the violence going to begin, buddy? When you're going to bring out the bayonets? When you're going to bring out the guns? When you're going to start the killing, Steve Bannon, on the streets of America? When are you going to tell your people to come out and start killing Americans, bitch?
Think they can handle that? I don't think so either.
You're asking an African American, can they fucking handle prison? That's the dumbest fucking thing on earth to even ask. That's an insult to American history, Steve Bannon.
Game likes game, right? Game knows game, right? I'll tell you it's game. The gentleman sitting in the White House, Donald J. Trump, it's a glorious day. Days of thunder. Days of thunder and years of lightning. Every day is Christmas Day. Every day you get more executive orders, more executive actions. It's not going to stop. But you know what's the most important thing of all that?
It's not going to stop. That's projection. It's going to stop. It's definitely going to stop. and you're in the country with the people that's going to make it stop. That's the reality of it. Now, these folks are good at the Jedi mind trick, but they're hated right now by a lot of voters that voted for Trump. And a lot of those voters believe in their gun rights also. Democrats believe in gun rights. But we like to really pay attention before we establish who the enemy is that has to die first. See, these Republicans, they don't like to do that. They just like to talk racist shit all day, laugh about it, play the game, be corrupt, rob the citizens, use hate to rob people's tax pockets, and think nobody's watching, think that there's no detail, think that there's nothing else going on because they're so busy listening to themselves in their own goddamn bubble.
It's you. You're here today at CPAC. You represent the tip of the spear of the populist nationalist movement. All of that, from Kash Patel to McConnell leaving, to the J6 being free, right? To Zelensky being put in his place. And Elon just said it right there. It's been nothing but grift. The parents and the kids in Ukraine didn't want him to die.
Look at that. Look at that. He said it's nothing but grift, right? That's what he said. He said it's nothing but grift. That's what he said, Elon Musk. Right? This is what he's saying right now. How many weeks ago it's really ridiculous. How many weeks ago did this guy sit up there and berate Elon Musk? Look at this. This is just a month ago.
Do you remember when Elon Musk went to that rally, and when he was introduced on stage, he started jumping around a bit like a small child?
Star jumping.
Exactly. And Donald Trump's face when that was happening is worth just watching back if you've forgotten it, because it was kind of like, who is this guy? I think there's an element of Musk is useful while he's useful, and then when he's not, maybe he won't.
So Adam Bolton here with me, as is Kate McCannell, Pina and friends. We're going to stay with the United States and what is a really quite extraordinary bout of infighting.
Hold on. Yeah, they have infighting because Steve Bannon was definitely part of the infighting. He ripped Elon Musk to shreds, and somehow it's like they've just forgotten it. Just from a few weeks past, it's like something happened. Trump probably told him, hey, we have to keep this quiet because we're not going to get to the next stage of what we what is this? This is ridiculous. I mean, first of all, Steve Bannon calling Elon Musk a racist is just retarded because they're both racist. It's like the pot calling the kettle black. But let's see here.
News co-founder Steve Bannon was his right-hand man. Now heading into his second term, Trump seems to have picked a new favorite, Elon Musk. And Bannon seems a little miffed. In an interview with Italian newspaper Corriere della Sera, he had this warning for the ex-owner: I will get Elon Musk kicked out by the time he's inaugurated. He won't have a blue pass with full access to the White House. He'll be like everyone else. He's a truly evil person. Stopping him has become a personal issue for me. Before, since he's put in so much money, I was prepared to tolerate it. Not anymore. Bannon's.
You see? So this is the real Steve Bannon that, this was like a month ago, just a month ago. Just before he got into office. Look.
To Zelensky being put in his place. And Elon just said it right there. It's been nothing but grift. The parents and the kids in Ukraine didn't want him to die. Who want him to die? The globalists want him to die.
This guy, he's the globalist. Who are the globalists? Is Putin a globalist? Putin's the one who invaded. Is Putin a globalist? Is China a globalist? China's the one that supported Putin with weapons. Is he a globalist? Who is responsible for the war going on in the conflicts in the Middle East? Who sells weapons in the Middle East? To who? This fictional thing about globalist, what are you talking about? The globalists are right in your office. Is Elon Musk. It's Elon Musk. And this kind of view. Now notice, he's saying globalist. What? Where are they? Where are the globalists? Where are they at? He's not going to name them.
Who said stop it? You said stop it. Who want them to die? The globalists. If the parents and the kids in Ukraine didn't want them to die, who want them to die? The globalists want them to die. Who said stop it? You said stop it.
So this is what he's attempting to do is not blame Putin, not blame China, because it's in this speech right here, he needs to blame Democrats because it's a American political speech. So he's blaming Democrats. He's blaming Zelensky. He's blaming the EU for Putin attacking Ukraine. Y'all, I mean, sorry, but Steve Bannon is just another corrupt bastard who's really doesn't have a problem screwing over poor white people. Like, it's pathetic. It's really pathetic. And to screw over poor white people, you must use fascist lingo. They go for that. That group goes for that. Just like if you want to screw over a Christian, you would go talk about Jesus, 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 in the name of Jesus, and then you screw them over. That's how it's done. If you want to screw over black people, you go, hey, man, we are superior. We're the superior race. We're the original. Well, guess what? It's the damn colonialists, man. That's who's stealing the money. And then you go steal the money. It's called double talk, double speak.
You gave voice to President Trump. Now, why is it so important that all the media's here and the world's here and the Financial Times of London and the New York Times and all these? Why are they all here? They're not here to see me. They can see me every day on Real America's Voice screaming like a madman into a microphone. They can see Rob Schmidt and Elon. Elon's everywhere, right? It's great he did this. He's everywhere. Right? J.D. Vance, gave a great speech. And you can see J.D. all the time. President Trump's going to give a magnificent speech on Saturday, is he not? But they get enough of President Trump every day, don't they? Hell yeah. He calls them into the Oval Office. He's signing executive officer's office, executive orders, and they're sitting there throwing these questions. Ba-boom, ba-boom. He's like a howitzer. Oh, they got enough of President Trump. You know what they're really here for?
You hear that? He's like a howitzer. You see, he's again, a howitzer. Isn't that a German weapon, right? Isn't that a German weapon of war? Howitzer. Just want to make sure I'm spelling it right. Yeah, exactly. Central Europe, exactly. 15th to early 16th century howitzer. Look at this. Origins of howitzer, early development. Okay, Bohemians, developed by Bohemians, modern day Czech Republic. Now you can see Czech Republic split from what? Russia. These early artillery pieces were designed to lob explosive shells in a high arc, making them effective to siege warfare and battles in rough terrain. Right. 17th to 18th century. The term howitzer itself comes from the German word Haubitze, which was derived from Czech Hofnis, meaning catapult or slingshot. You see, this guy, y'all, he's just a fucking nut. I mean, I hate to say it, he's just a nut. Because at every turn he defies, so he's against Zelensky, but he's using Czech terms and German terms from World War II and before. You see what I'm saying? Like, this guy will have you think all these people like each other because he's using that terms. He's only using it because he caught up with that term because he supports Hitler. He's a fascist. So he picks up he talks about one of the weapons that they use to kill millions of people, to gun down people's families in broad daylight. This is what he supports. Usually, when we're talking about civilized people, we're talking about people that don't engage in that kind of behavior. We don't support it. We don't support killing women and children just because we're having a political conflict. We don't support that. That's not what I support. You know, I don't have a lack of humanity in me that wants to exterminate people like that. You see, but these people, they're making jokes about it. They don't have a problem glorifying that behavior.
They're here because of you. They can't defeat what they don't understand. They can't
They can't defeat what we don't know. We understand you, bro. What are you talking about? How do we not understand what they're talking about? We're listening. Um, you can't defeat what you don't understand. I understand this very well. You all are cheap. You think that the rabbit won the race against the tortoise. No, but it is he who laughs laughs best. Clock is ticking. You know, that's the thing. They have not won much. They've dismantled things, but where is the victory in that? Where's the victory? Again, Target stock market, US stock market is going down slowly. Economic analysts predict that the US GDP will be less under the Trump term for the first time in decades. For the first time in decades.
destroy what they don't understand, right? They can't contain what they don't understand. From Riyadh to Beijing to Berlin to the city of London to Buenos Aires, you name it, in every world capital, every hedge fund, every political consultant, all the money, all the power.
Now, these guys, they're talking about China. It's bullshit. They always do this. They lie. These guys have assets in China. They do. While Steve Bannon is openly acting like somehow Elon Musk doesn't have assets in China, he's openly talking about somehow Trump don't have assets in China, openly talking about how somehow Kash Patel doesn't have assets in China. Listen to how he's framing it. That's how you know it's bullshit. It's all mirage. Look.
IRAs to withstand, right? They can't contain what they don't understand. From Riyadh to Beijing to Berlin to the city of London to Buenos Aires, you name it, in every world capital, every hedge fund, every political consultant, all the money, all the power, all the legislation. You know what they want? They want to understand MAGA.
You see this? He's run out of words. He's run out of perspective to offer. And so he's just going to keep, going in circles. Now I see that. Um, it's really pathetic. I will call this the loser's speech, and it's a lot of projection in here and a lot of disinformation. He's speaking this way because he knows deep down inside he's lost, because they overplayed their hand from the very beginning. People do know what's going on. It may not all be said on television fast enough. It may not all be said on television fast enough by opposing parties, political opposing parties. But folks know what's going on. And this speech, to me, tells me he knows the gig is up. He's trying to be a cheerleader because he knows the very people that voted for Trump, including Republican politicians, including dumbass voters that were taken advantage of, victims to disinformation, being naive, being willing to be used by a person that looks like them, talks like them, walks like them. That was hard. He knows they're beginning to wake up. And he knows once enough of these people wake up, they are going to chase these motherfuckers out of the country. using all means necessary. He knows that. His only way out of it, I'm going to tell you, same thing with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is going to smile in your face, just like, and Trump is going to smile in your face. And then they're going to tell you maybe once out of 1,000 times they speak, they're going to tell you one time the truth. That is where they're going to run to when the gig is up. Trump already said, I could be running to Venezuela. Yeah, we know. Elon Musk, he went down there to Argentina. Yeah, we know. We know the Argentinian president's fake ass crypto coin crashed the market, crashed his own country's economy. Elon Musk is down there because he's trying to buy some influence, right? He needs that lithium. He needs the lithium. He's already looking for other opportunities. When the gig is up in the US, Elon Musk is looking for his next opportunity. And the only place he can go that he has a chance is South America, y'all. It's not going to be Africa. It's not going to be China. I mean, he should try Russia. To be honest, he belongs in Russia. Russia could use his help. Why he doesn't want to do that, I have no clue. Maybe that's his plan. But I'm gonna tell you, it's not the United States of America. They're planning it. It's just they used to doing the Wizard of Oz effect. Put up the curtain. Right now is the curtain, but there's nothing behind it. It's phony. They went about this apprehensively in the most kookiest way, and all eyes are on them. Putin got what he wanted, and now guess what? That's where the problem starts for them. The fact that they have been and they're in power and they don't know what to do. That's really what's going on here. They might know how to do something criminal and illegal, but that's it. In terms of bringing something better to the people, to the world, they don't want it. They never wanted it. It was all a scam. They can't even do it. They don't have the talent to do it. They don't have the interest to even do it. They feel entitled. And being entitled means they don't do their homework. Not that well.
You know why? You represent the best of the American people. In your righteous indignation, you rose up.
You hear this?
Right, you rose up.
He said you represent the best of the American people in your righteous indignation. Righteous indignation. There's nothing about factual facts. Anybody can be righteously indignant. In fact, the feeling that you are righteous, anyone can have that feeling. Anyone can. Isn't that what extremists have? Isn't that what Muslim extremists feel? Don't they feel that they're righteous? You know, this is just bobbly goob here.
How many times
it's pathetic. I don't expect a lot from him, but as a 55-year-old critical thinking man that's traveled to a lot of places that is pretty much international, although I'm born and raised in Washington, D.C., so I have a different spin to it. I'm not impressed with this. This is unintellectual.
Been doing this last 2 or 3 years. What did I tell you last year on this very stage? We're going to win. We're going to win the primary. We're going to win the general election.
You see that? He's begging people to keep believing him. What did I tell you last time? We're going to win the primary. We're going to win the election. Yeah. Okay. You did win. But what's the victory in winning if you can't do anything with it?
And Donald Trump's going to return to the White House. All these guys, all the mainstream media, the fake news, mocked and ridiculed. No, Trump's not going to win the primary, right?
You see that? You see that? He's going back to when they were wrong before. But are pundits wrong now? Are they wrong now about Elon Musk? Are they wrong now about Trump's performance? Are they wrong now about he has no peace agreement with Ukraine? Were they wrong? Is he wrong now when there's nothing going on with Palestine? Even Hamas don't even want to follow Trump. Is he wrong now when nobody's listening to Trump? People are laughing at Trump. The world is saying, you know what? I'm glad that happened in the United States because at least they're strong enough to survive. Thank God we kicked Elon Musk out of Europe. Thank God we kicked him out of Africa. Thank God we kicked him out. Yo, what are you talking about? There's no winning in being a fool. Elon Musk is out for himself. He has his own little secret army that this man can't touch. Steve Bannon can't touch him. Elon Musk knows that. Elon Musk doesn't give a fuck about Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is jealous of Elon Musk. He's been reduced because now he's out here capping for Elon Musk when a month ago he was ripping Elon Musk into shreds, calling him a fraud, calling him a scammer, calling him a grifter.
They had, who was it? Nikki Haley? had Governor, and I like Governor DeSantis' life. Has Governor DeSantis dropped out by then? I don't remember. Well, it was soon thereafter. You had Trump's back. You had Trump's back in those dark days of 2021, did you not? Remember, he went to Mar-a-Lago, and it was like a lion in winter, and they all abandoned him except for you. And the Schlaps had enough guts and courage to take him to CPAC in Orlando and march 47 days after he had gone into exile because, guess what? They stole the 2020 election. Is there
At 4 o'clock, after just one day of talks between top American and Russian affiliation between relations and President Trump and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky are beginning to deteriorate, with Trump calling Zelensky a, quote, dictator.
National correspondent Atra El-Nashar shares how this could impact Ukraine's fate.
3 years of U.S. policy to make no decision about Ukraine without Ukraine has been shaken to its core in just 48 hours. A dictator without elections. Zelensky better move fast or he is not going to have a country left, President Trump wrote in a social media post when.
Now, folks need to read this. You know, I said this before in my last live, I believe, that Trump projects a lot. When he says a dictator without elections, he's talking about what people say about Putin, right? So he wants to throw that back to provide shade to hide under. That's a Putin talking point. Zelensky better move fast or he's not going to have a country. That's another Putin talking point. The Russian army has gotten their ass whooped by the Ukrainian army, to be honest with you, because of some of the logistics and the weapons that are being supplied by the US and the EU, NATO. Logistics. Remember, Donald Trump can get the fuck out of Europe. The US Army can get the fuck out, and there's still going to be logistics. There's still going to be satellite logistics. There's still going to be on the ground in Russia logistics from spies, and there's still going to be on the ground logistics helping the Ukrainians, navigate through what's coming. That's still going on, y'all. So when he says Zelensky better move fast or he's not going to have a country, he's really referring to Putin. Putin is the one that needs to move fast. You know, it's a Jedi mind trick, y'all. You know, Putin went into the war. Putin gets nothing if there's not an agreement with Zelensky. He only gets more war, and he only gets another NATO ally like Turkey blockading the Black Sea. You see, Russia doesn't have enough money to buy people off, really. They can buy off little people like they did in the U.S., Steve Bannon, but they can't buy off the president of Turkey because he's got options. You see what I mean? And so Russia is not really doing that well. China is doing much better. The EU and China, they're working on new trade deals. Guess what, y'all? They're working on new trade deals together. So to be honest with you, Putin is really the odd man out of this dynamic. And yet Trump is doing the bidding of Putin.
Morning.
Unfortunately, President Trump, I have great respect for him as a leader of a nation that we have great respect for, the American people who always support us. Unfortunately, he lives in this disinformation space.
Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky said that hours after a high-level meeting between U.S. and Russian officials in Riyadh that excluded Ukraine.
Today I heard, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it.
Even some Republicans disagree with President Trump putting.
Look, how long has Trump been around? What did Trump do? What has Trump done that's been good? Zelensky's been around less than Trump.
Blame on Ukraine.
It is quite clear Who started the war? It was absolutely Russia at Putin's directive.
Vladimir Putin is a gangster. He's a gangster.
Now, these are Republicans. They're beginning to show dissent against Trump. And they may have been afraid before of thinking about their own personal stuff, but now they realize the stakes are much higher now that Trump has said these kind of things. They know that Trump is about to screw over U.S. foreign diplomacy and trade at its core. That is the only reason why these people are speaking up. Because guess what? There's one thing they give a damn about more than being racist. That's their money. And they're not talking about the money that's going into their pocket. They're talking about the entire country. The wealth of the country is at risk with what Trump is doing. That means everybody. And look, I'm just saying, it's not looking as good as what Steve Bannon thinks. Listen.
With the Black Hawk.
It was absolutely quite clear who started the war. It was absolutely Russia at Putin's directive.
Vladimir Putin is a gangster. He's a gangster with a black heart.
Another point of contention is the president's decision to have his team start in-person talks with the Russian side.
President Trump is not even engaging the NATO alliance in this conversation about the future of Ukraine. In fact, he is hardly engaging Ukraine.
The Ukrainians are part of the conversation, but what's not happened in over 3 years is any meaningful dialogue with the Russians.
Some fear the Trump administration will cater to Russia as they watch President Trump rail against how much the United States has spent on aid to Ukraine. $183 billion as of the end of fiscal year 2024. Funding Trump calls a gravy train.
We're just not doing this out of the goodness.
So, it's obviously hypocritical here, because how much money has the United States helped with people all over the world? But look, just Israel, for example, how much money does the United States use on defense? The average American doesn't really even know that. Doesn't really have. In fact, the United States government doesn't really even know. There's no accounting. There's not a total accounting. And that's one of the things Seth Hegseth, the alcoholic that went on NATO stage and just had shots of whatever kind of liquor he had just to be able to answer questions because he's so nervous. The dude knows he's a fraud. Seth Hegseth, he actually was appointed with the job of bringing fiscal clarity to the Defense Department. But look, it's not going to come. It's not going to come so quickly like people think, and it's not going to come with jokers in mind doing the job.
Of our heart, we support Ukraine because U.S. national security and our economy rely on it.
President,
it's very simple. The U.S. foreign policy and defense and economy rely on it, y'all. So this is not an act of selfishness or greed. It's just the way it is. It's not a